How many times in hip hop have we heard stories about the drug dealer and they don't face consequences? Well, today we're going to examine one of the best verses that illustrates what it means to be a drug dealer and to be caught with the reality. Today, we examine Exhibit Recycle Assassins on Heritage Hip Hop. The year is 1998, and it's the month of August. And the West Coast rapper Xzibit released his sophomore album, 40 Days, 40 Nights, which got critical reception. And to me, it's a personal classic album from the West Coast. And on this album, he has some story tracks and story songs, but one that stood out to me the most was Recycled Assassins, produced by Montage One and Exhibit. And in the first verse, Montage One tells you an overarching outline about the inner city, people dying, people getting killed, etc. But it was Exhibit who really shined on this project and on this song primarily, where he talked about growing up with the inspiration to be a drug dealer by watching what he sees in front of him in his community. He talks about um, he grew up in a family of one girl and three boys. He didn't want to play with toys. He wanted to play the block. He had when he was young, like I said, it goes from he was a baby to when he's a grown man. And as a baby, he was fascinated with girls, drugs, money, change, jewelry, etc. Clout. Basically, his reputation. And the reputation of being one of those guys is what inspired him to want to be a drug dealer. Then, as he got older, he talked about his first responsibility being playing the block. Who's coming? Cops coming, police coming, who's coming to get, fed, served, whatever. They called them clucks. On the East Coast, people call them custies or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But the people who take the drugs, you know what I mean? And he made it. He got his own crack house, trap house, whatever, and he was serving the neighborhood. And at the end, he goes to jail. And the most fascinating part of the verse to me is not the fact that he sold drugs. The most fascinating part of the verse is he has a younger brother. And in the verse, he talks about his younger brother didn't care about nothing. He wanted G.I. Joes, Tonka trucks, which means that his brother really was not into the street life. His brother was what would be considered an innocent kid, playing with toys, probably like video games and stuff like that. That was around when he was talking about, things like that, like we see today. A young person who's really into just being themselves. But himself, while his little brother was playing with trucks and stuff like that, he wanted leather seats, plush cars, money, all types of stuff, right? And the little brother that was innocent in the verse ended up going to jail with him. He said in the verse, my little brother gave less than an F. He was content with G.I. Joe and Tonka trucks, but I want bucks, living first class deluxe, neighborhood drug dealer ready to serve these clucks, whatever, right? But at the end of the verse, he said, his little brother was excited about the first round he bust. I was crushed to finally see that the solution to the problem could have started with me. And that's what really got me, because this story that's detailed in this verse is really about the responsibility that we have and how our actions will inspire others. See, when it comes to being a man of color or a black man, FB, or whatever you would call yourself, African American, black, whatever, or an inner city youth, period. When it comes to that, we are indoctrinated with economics in this country and the caste system of the rich to the disappearing middle class to the working class and the poor in this country of America in 2024. And right now we have a big election going on where we have a woman running for president and we have Donald Trump who wants to be a dictator, because basically he said, you vote for me, you never have to vote again, right? And finances is one of the biggest things going on in our country, right? We have inflation where people can't even buy food. You have migrants coming in getting all the money, and people who've been here all their lives, especially veterans and stuff, can't get any money. And in the city, people of the inner city have been targeted for extermination for centuries in this country, be it your skin color or your economics, right? And unfortunately, when you hear hip hop says the only way you can get out is if you rap, play sports, or sell drugs. Now, there's other options. They're just they have been controlled. I'm not saying all over control because has our country got better? In some respects, it has. But realistically speaking, to the people who are down and out, hustle, sell drugs, rap, or shoot a basketball, play sports. And that's been the way people have been gotten out. So when we look at the inner city, right, going to school, not to everybody, but has always been corny because to some people has been corny because the payoff doesn't seem to get there. We live in a country where people are graduating with bachelor's degrees in college and can't find jobs, especially brown skinned men and women in this country. People in the inner city, they're graduating from college. I graduated from college myself and had a bachelor's degree in social sciences and could not get into the the system or the job I wanted, and I had to sell shoes. I was Al Bundy in it for real, and I've met so many people who have bachelor degrees and that work at McDonald's and things like this, right? And how does this tie into the verse? A lot of folks get on people who sell drugs to try to make a way to, and that's how they hustle, and they condemn them as criminals. And now we see, even with the legalization of marijuana, that a lot of these things were deemed unfair because people may have in the city sold drugs to pay their rents or be able to feed their babies. We heard Biggie Smalls say to all the people who say he would be was calling the cops on him. He's on the front stoop. He's just trying to feed his daughter. See, a lot, even in today's society right now, it's very hard to find a job. And in today's economic system, especially after what happened with COVID and people being home and things like that, and that money coming in, a lot of people were trying to find hustles and ways to pay their rent, to put food on the table. America is not a one-shot deal across the board. Like, everything is not fair and even because a person in New York has a different lifestyle, a living requirement than a person that lives in North Dakota. The minimum wage may be different. We all know that the rent is different, but the money you make in New York, you don't make in North Dakota. So the stratosphere of what life is when it comes to this country and what is and what is not, it's very diverse. But there's one thing that keeps us connected. That's the wants and needs of people to survive in this country. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Am I with selling drugs or getting people, especially young people and raised, hooked on things that can hurt their bodies in the long run? No, I'm not. And I'm not in agreement with destroying your folks due to a drug. But I will tell you this. I've heard of many a story of people saying they couldn't find jobs or people weren't hiring. Unfortunately, people had to do things and it landed them in the system. And then after coming out the system, people would not hire them because they have prior criminal records. And we have, people who've done these types of things. The striking thing about that and this verse is that this is a story that has been told many times over due to how the inner city got polluted with guns or drugs, be it from governmental sources, outsourcing, because nobody makes these things in our neighborhoods, but the calamity of those who fall into that run that risk of the consequences of taking their lives away from them, which in turn hurts the community. Single fathers or single mother, single parent homes, a failing society, school system, people getting hurt. We've lost so many people to this thing. And the final verse The final part of the verse is the solution could have started with me, but it's on now. Meaning, we all have the power to make change in our lives, and we don't have to accept the norm. Xzibit in this song talked about what his desires was and how him being inspired by the block led him to that lifestyle. Then the disappointment he felt when he saw that his brother, his younger brother, who didn't care about the street life, got excited for busting guns. And then instead of being a positive role model to push him in the right direction away from that type of life, he brought him into it because his actions didn't dictate the change. See, the one thing that bothers me about this lesson is this. If we want change, we can't blame other people for change. We have to be the change. We have to not be problem focused, but solution driven. So if you want people to do better, you can't just talk it, you gotta be it. And I'm not blaming anybody for this. I'm not blaming anybody outside of our situation from any walk of life. Ultimately, it is our decisions that make our lives what it is. But I also am not blind to know that there are people and forces out here that may direct how things go, and people fall into those traps. A person will do what they got to do when they need to eat. Even the Bible tells you about people who steal to eat and how they're supposed to repay people back after they get their meal. And it wasn't jail time. We have some issues in this country, as in any country, and racial discrimination, economic discrimination, and so many other things play into why we are in this country and in our situations the way we are. And don't let people use your race to ethnicity to pigeonhole you or put you in a box. Because you know what? A lot of these issues with people selling drugs to survive started from hatred and people wanting to destroy people through social experiments and genocides and things like that. So at the end of the day, I want to ask you something. The people who are inspired to do this, are their stories necessary to be told? Look at Snowfall, look at The Wire, look at Blow. Look at all these different movies about the drug trade and what it did to the communities and people in the community and in the city. And you tell me, are those stories are those stories not only willing to be told, are they worthy to be understood and listened to? Look at New Jack City. Look at all these stories about why people did what they did and for where they came from and what it meant to them. Do I excuse the evil that came with it? No. But to every situation, there is a story. And you have a right to tell yours. Is Xzibit, Recycled Assassins, one of the best stories ever rhymed? Is it one of the best stories ever rhymed? You let me know by leaving a comment below the video and let me know how you like the song. May the Most High bless you, and make sure you subscribe to heritagehiphop.com. If you like this video, hit the like button, comment, share this video, of course. Check out heritagehiphop.com. Get some merch. We got shirts, we got hats, we got all types of stuff. And if there's anything that you want that you don't see, just hit me, But may the Most High bless you, and let's consider the fact that everybody has a story, and everybody's story has a right to be told. May the Most High bless you. Peace, and we out.
Real hip-hop. Real hip-hop. We here. Real hip-hop. For real.